Hey guys, this is Josh Hughey with Colonial Real Estate in Sevierville, Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains. Today we're at 2816 Jones Cove Road, but we've already done a video of this property. Today we have inspections because this one is under contract. We just listed this a couple of weeks ago. We put it on online about a week ago, and that video has done extremely well, but we did get a buyer. They have us under contract, and today they're going to do their inspections. And so today I just kind of thought I would talk a little bit about what goes on during the inspection process. So I'll kind of take you around the property here and just give you a little idea of what the inspector is going to be doing when they come out. So today they have just a general home inspection, which is going to encompass everything inside and out, top to bottom, and it's going to be very thorough, very detailed. And anything that is uncovered in the inspection can be looked into a little deeper, or the buyer can choose just to put that on a repair proposal. But basically, we enter negotiations after the inspections are completed. Different markets have different practices. In ours, I'd say it's typically average for a week and a half, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is pretty typical for inspections. If it's a property that's being rented, then you may see a 3-week inspection period if it's difficult to get into. So anyway, this one has been a second home. It's very easy to get into, so we don't have as tight of an inspection time frame, or at least the buyer doesn't need to have as tight of an inspection time frame. So anyway, with this one today, basically the inspector is going to come out. First, they're going to get a general overview of the property. They're going to look at everything from the grade going around the foundation, making sure that the water has plenty of room to drain away from the house, that there's no standing water issues. They're of course going to look at the foundation. This one is on a crawl space, so they'll take a look at the block and just make sure everything's in good condition there. They will also look at all the siding and the decks, make sure it's all whole. There's no major holes or anything that needs significant repair or replacement. And then of course they're going to go up on the roof. With a metal roof, it's going to be a lot easier. It's mostly the screws that they'll take a look at. Shingle roof, they'll take a look at the shingles and make sure that they're all there and they're installed properly, and just that all the flashing looks good. And then of course the gutters, downspouts, which also has to do with the drainage a little bit. So that's just kind of a general idea of what they'll do on the outside. Of course, they'll take a look at the exterior HVAC, make sure it's in good working order. The power shut off there, the fence in the back, and then the crawl space doors in the back as well. So they'll go in the crawl space and check that out very thoroughly, make sure everything up under the house is all in good condition. So of course, just a general idea of the exterior, but it is 28 degrees today, so we're going to go inside and give you a rundown of what you can expect from the inspection on the interior of the property. So of course, on the inside, what they're generally going to look at, as I said before, is everything from floor to ceiling. So they'll look at all the trim work, make sure it's all solid, the walls, no holes or cracks in any of the drywall. Sometimes, cracks can tell you about any hidden dangers with the framing or with the foundation, or sometimes it's just a crack that doesn't mean anything. But you do want to inspect those any of those cracks in the drywall and see if they're trying to tell you something about the inside of the house that might be a little more difficult to see. So, of course, in here they're going to check out the fireplace, which we have a gas fireplace in this one. It's serviced by the propane tank outside. That tank is almost nearly full here, so I was able to get the fireplace lit a little while ago. Now, normally, we don't go around just lighting a fireplace on our own. I'm just the real estate agent, and the gas could potentially pose a problem. You don't want that kind of liability. So, I did grow up with propane tanks, a propane tank and propane heaters in an older house. So I'm very familiar with those systems, and spoke to the owner at length. And of course, he had the instruction manual here. So, felt very comfortable taking that on. But, it's typically something that you leave to actual gas company or some licensed professional to take care of. Regardless, he's going to inspect that, make sure that there's no leaks in the gas line. The logs look good and that they're working properly. And of course, he'll look at all the windows, make sure that the windows are all clear, not necessarily clean. The inspections do not cover just cleanliness, general cleanliness of the property, unless the cleanliness has led to an issue in the structural integrity, or some other type of integrity of the interior, or caused any rot in flooring, subflooring, or the walls, or baseboards, or anything like that. So just kind of a general idea there. Of course, they will look at all the light fixtures, make sure that they're all functioning properly. Of course, they'll look a little closer inside closets and things. Make sure that there's no staining. The flooring and the walls all look good. Of course, with those windows, as I said, make sure that they're clear. Windows. A lot of windows have a tendency to lose their seals. If that happens, then typically you'll see just a general fogginess inside there. Of course, I'm not a window expert. There's a lot of different types of windows, but windows losing their seals is one of the more common issues that we see. Of course, it's going to be noticeable if you see any cracks or holes, broken panes, or just anything that shows a need for replacement. So beyond that, of course, they'll look at all the plumbing, make sure the faucets work, make sure that the hot water does come on and it kind of comes in a timely manner. They'll look in cabinets and things to make sure that everything is in really good shape. If there's no leaks in any of the cabinets, or showing any, there's no holes or rot or anything like that. Of course, make sure all the toilets flush. Typically, they'll shake and make sure the toilets are secure to the floor. And then, of course, showers. Make sure that there's no major leaks. Make sure everything drains properly. That there's no slow draining. Like I said, leaks. It's kind of common to see a leak with a shower head. May or may not happen, but they'll spend plenty of time in the bathroom to make sure that everything is all secure and functioning properly. Of course, they'll check out The washer and dryer, most likely, since it comes with the house. You know, I've had a lot of them. A lot of inspectors will overlook that because typically it doesn't come with the house, but they may decide to turn it on, make sure it functions properly. More often than not, though, that's going to be something they'll check in the final inspection. This panel here, he'll look at that and make sure, since he can access the inner workings of the house, and see see all the pipes and the regulator down there at the bottom. He'll just make sure that all that is up to par. That is a lot of fun to do with one hand. Of course, look at all the flooring, make sure the tiles are all in good shape. The biggest thing is he'll check out the kitchen, do his thing with the appliances, make sure that the stove and dishwasher and refrigerator are all working, as well as the microwave. Microwave is working. Looks like the display may need to be checked. Anyway, I'm not here to do the inspection on this one, but what I like to do once we do go under contract is I like to personally go back into my listings and just check on things, make sure everything's in good shape, because one thing I need to do is turn the water heater on so it's ready for their inspection. Since this is a second home, it's good to turn the water heater off whenever you leave, just to make sure it doesn't keep running. I forgot to turn the water heater off in my own house last year when we left for vacation, and came home to a burst water heater and leaking water heater, and that was not fun. So anyway, it's a good thing to turn that off. So turn that on to get ready for the inspector. He should be here any minute. But as I was saying, before I flip the switch there, just want to make sure, I like to make sure that whenever I'm in a meeting with in my listing appointment meeting or initial consultation, that we go through the house and we let them know what we see, just to say, hey, here's a few things you might want to address. And we did that here, and these sellers in particular are just awesome. They knocked things out and made it look better than we even expected. Cleaned the walls, cleaned all the floors, had somebody come in and clean the carpets. Biggest thing was, the driveway didn't have any definition to it, so brought in some fresh gravel, and then they put these landscape timbers out there to essentially create the driveway. Even though it was already there, they made it look a million times better than it did when we first came in. But those are just some little things, some aesthetics, but those aesthetics will matter. Again, for the inspector, he's going to come in, check all the fixtures, the plumbing, all the appliances. He'll look at all the cabinet doors, make sure that none of them are falling off or loose. Same thing under the kitchen sink, make sure there's no stains. All kinds of things like that. Of course, we have 2.5 baths here, so he'll check the half bath, make sure that it all looks good. I should be catching him out here whenever he gets here, so I'm just going to turn the lights on for him and at least give him a good head start. But he'll check all the switches there. They'll test the plugs, make sure that there's no reverse polarity, make sure that the HVAC, he will make sure that these outlets here are all functioning properly. And you'll have to forgive me, the name for them has escaped my mind because for whatever reason I have the letters HVAC, HDMI, and everything that is not related to that in my head. So, again, he'll just check all these things out, and then, once he's satisfied inside, he'll go up into the attic there. So our attic access is in the garage in this one. But up there, he's going to check the, check the framing, if they have trusses up there, he'll just check everything out, make sure that all the wood's still intact, that there's no, compromising, I guess, of any of the load-bearing structures or members, that the roof underneath is all in good shape, just the overall integrity of everything. So, a lot of this may just seem pretty typical, and I may have left a thing or two out. Whenever the buyer orders the inspection, of course, they'll want to work with their agent and discuss some of the extra things that a typical home inspection doesn't cover, and determine whether they want to order those things or not. So some of those items will include the septic inspection. Most home inspection companies don't really mess with the septic beyond just checking the toilets, make sure that they flush. But they do have, a lot of them do have the capacity to check the actual septic. Some, to be as simple as just running the water for half an hour, and then going and checking to see if there's and then they'll put a dye in and see if that dye seeps up in places that it shouldn't. That could potentially show a failure of the septic system. Or some companies have the ability to scope it with a camera. They'll just put a camera down, and sometimes through the clean out, or maybe other area if the clean out is inaccessible, and they'll scope it, make sure that everything looks good on the inside, no roots growing through the pipes or anything like that. Then, of course, there's some other options that get even more detailed. A lot of those will probably involve pumping the actual septic. So, and of course, I'm showing you here because the septic is off that side. So, beyond that, some other items would be a radon test. So, if the buyer wanted a radon test, they would bring their actual radon detector, set it up in here for 2 to 3 days, and come collect that after. It'll give them a reading based on the radon that it detected. And of course, if you don't know what radon is, it's just an invisible gas, kind of like carbon monoxide, but it comes directly from bedrock and from underneath the ground, and can come into the house. And if it builds up a high enough concentration, it's a long-term exposure thing that could potentially lead to lung cancer, or some other things like that. Of course, you can Google it, find out all that you need to know about radon, and decide if that's something that you wanted to ever check on your house or any property that you're in the process of buying. So those are two of the big things. Mold tests, see those being done by home inspection companies, where they'll come and kind of do the same thing as a radon test, and they will just set that up to see what kind of mold is collected over a certain time period, and they'll give you that report. Another thing is water quality tests. So you can have them test the water quality. We're on city water here, so I highly doubt that will be happening. But if you're not familiar with a place that you're moving to, you want to check their water quality, by all means go ahead. But typically you can get that information from the city website, or just give them a call and they'll let you know where you can find that. So water quality tests, if you have a well, something you definitely want to look into, especially if there's no other type of water system like a softener. My family has a second home that has a lot of sulfur in the water, so they have a significant water system and a closet that helps to treat all that, and just make it a little bit better for general usage. Some other items that they check for are pools or hot tubs. They'll check those out, make sure that they're working. They can check pool pumps and the whole system that goes with the pool. But yeah, overall, home inspection companies, at least really good ones, have the ability to check a lot of things within a property. And of course, you can also hire a contractor, and just some qualified professional to come in and give you a good, thorough inspection and tell you what you have going on inside, outside, and underground around this place that you're wanting to buy. So anyway, I hope that helps. It's a little more fun type of video that I like making, but don't worry, I'll be back sometime this weekend, most likely with another home tour. We have a property listed out here in one of the more popular neighborhoods in Sevierville, and I will be bringing that to you later on this weekend. So thanks for coming on this tour with me. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or interested in purchasing anywhere in the East Tennessee area. I'll be happy to help you out.